Part 33.4 Surah Al-Ahzab, The Confederates, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed, Kanzelaman. Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, The Confederates, Chapter 33, verses 16 to 20. We progress in our detailed exegesis of Surah Al-Ahzab, The Confederates, moving from the intense exposure of the hypocrites' betrayal to the inevitable conclusion of their spiritual and physical flight. The previous section provided a stark dissection of the Munaffiqun hypocrites during the great trial of the Battle of the Trench, revealing their doubt, their false excuses, and their broken covenant with Allah. The 5 verses we now approach serve as a powerful continuation, focusing on the futile nature of escape from divine destiny and the profound difference between the inner states of the believer and the hypocrite. These verses articulate the absolute sovereignty of Allah over all matters of life, death and provision, culminating in a striking portrait of the hypocrite's utter moral collapse and profound cowardice when the very prospect of fighting arises. This entire discourse is designed to establish the unwavering principle that no human scheme, however cunning, can alter a decree of the Almighty Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. The futility of flight and the sovereignty of Allah. Kanzelaman, Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, The Confederates, Chapter 33, Verse 16. Say, if you flee from death or being slain, then this flight will not benefit you at all. And even then, you will be given comfort only for a little while. This verse delivers a direct, uncompromising challenge to the hypocrites who sought to flee the battlefield, exposing the utter futility of their cowardice and their attempt to evade destiny. The Prophet, peace be upon him, is commanded to address them with a categorical statement. Say, if you flee from death or being slain, then this flight will not benefit you at all. Their primary motive for desertion was the preservation of their lives, a frantic attempt to escape the risk of death or being slain. Al-Matua, Al-Katlu. Allah immediately and decisively refutes the logic of this worldly calculus. Flight will not only fail to protect them from the ultimate reality of death, which is decreed by Allah and cannot be avoided, but it will also strip them of the honor and immense spiritual reward that comes from facing adversity with courage and sincerity. Death awaits all men at their appointed time, regardless of their location or circumstance. The verse then concludes with a chilling reminder that echoes the judgment given in the preceding part, and even then, you will be given comfort only for a little while, wamata and ill-calculain. Even if their desertion grants them a temporary reprieve and they are allowed to enjoy the comforts and security of this world, this respite is utterly insignificant, only for a little while, when measured against the vast expanse of eternity. The true believer recognizes that worldly life is fleeting, an inconsequential duration, and trading eternal security for a brief, cowardly reprieve is the definition of profound spiritual folly. This assertion reinforces the sovereignty of Allah's decree, confirming that one cannot escape destiny by fleeing a divinely ordained trial. One only forfeits the reward by doing so. The true source of comfort is not found in cowardly flight, but in the unwavering reliance on Allah's eternal promise. Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, The Confederates, Chapter 33. Verse 17. Say, who is it that can protect you from Allah, if He intends to inflict you with evil, or if He intends to bestow upon you mercy? And they will not find any guardian or helper for themselves besides Allah. Expanding on the theme of divine sovereignty, this verse drives the point home by presenting a rhetorical question of immense spiritual magnitude. It demands the hypocrites to confront the ultimate source of power. The Prophet, peace be upon him, is commanded to challenge them. Say, who is it that can protect you from Allah, if He intends to inflict you with evil, or if He intends to bestow upon you mercy? This question utterly dissolves the basis of the hypocrites' worldly calculations. They sought protection in fleeing the army, but the verse reminds them that protection can only come from Allah. There is absolutely no force, no shelter, and no person in the entire cosmos capable of warding off a decree of evil, su'an, be it injury, defeat, or death, if Allah has willed it. Conversely, if Allah intends to bestow mercy, Ragmatan, be it safety, victory, or reward, no one can withhold it. This dual statement encompasses the entirety of human destiny. All good and all apparent harm originates solely from the divine will. the hypocrites. In their fear-driven, frantic search for security, were relying on worldly expedients. But this verse conclusively states that such reliance is worthless. The certainty is delivered in the concluding clause. And they will not find any guardian or helper for themselves besides. Lawa, layaji durna, laha min dini, alhi walaya gan, walana ran. The terms guardian, wali, and helper na cover all forms of protection and aid. The hypocrites, by their desertion, were essentially choosing reliance upon themselves and the illusion of worldly safety. But they are here informed that they are utterly alone. The true believers, conversely, knew their sole guardian and helper was Allah. This knowledge gave them the immense fortitude to remain steadfast in the face of annihilation. Allah's knowledge in the hypocrites' malice Kanzel, Iman, Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, the Confederates, chapter 33. Verse 18. Allah knows those who hold others back among you, and those who say to their brethren, "Come to us," and they do not come to the fight except a little. The focus shifts back from the theological certainty of divine sovereignty to the practical, detailed exposure of the hypocrites' destructive behavior during the siege, reminding the believers that Allah's knowledge is absolute and penetrates the most hidden deeds. The verse begins with the definitive declaration, Allah knows those who hold others back among you. Kad yalamu, alhu almu avikna minkum. The hold others back. Almu of Wekin refers to those who actively discouraged and dissuaded others from joining the fight or continuing their defense. These were the internal saboteurs who, instead of fleeing themselves, dedicated their energy to demoralizing the ranks of others through cynical whispers and fear-mongering. Crime of moral and political destruction. The verse details their treacherous appeal, and those who say to their brethren, "Come to us." This was the hypocrites' direct call to their family members, friends, or associates on the front line to abandon the trench and return to the safety of their homes, away from the perceived danger. This act reveals their priority. Kinship and personal safety trumped the common cause and the covenant with Allah. The spiritual diagnosis is confirmed by their physical action, and they do not come to the fight except a little. Wala yatuna alba sa'il kalklan. Even when they did show up to the battlefield, perhaps out of fear of public exposure, social obligation, or the need to maintain their disguise, their participation was utterly minimal, reluctant and half-hearted, lacking all sincerity and courage. This verse perfectly distinguishes the hypocrites' minimal, reluctant, and fear-driven participation from the full, sincere, and voluntary sacrifice of the true believers. Kanzalaman, Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, the Confederates, chapter 33, verse 19, coveting to save their skins from you. So when fear comes, you will see them looking at you, their eyes rolling like one on whom the agony of death is coming. When the fear is gone, they sting you with sharp tongues, coveting wealth. These have not believed, so Allah has made their deeds fruitless, and that is easy for Allah. This remarkable verse provides a devastating, panoramic, psychological, and ethical portrait of the hypocrite, dissecting their behavior in both times of fear and times of security, revealing that their entire existence is driven by selfishness and materialism. The first motivation is revealed, coveting to save their skins from you, ashehatan. Their primary fear was not of the enemy, but of the believers, the fear of being discovered, exposed, and forced to share the risk or the reward. Their covetousness, ashehatan, was a profound greed to preserve their own lives, resources, and secrets from the believers. The verse then captures their appearance during the siege, so when fear comes, you will see them looking at you, their eyes rolling like one on whom the agony of death is coming to dur, a unahim kaladak, ushdale min almat, duh. This visceral clinical image of their rolling eyes vividly illustrates their extreme, paralyzing dread, a fear so intense that it mimics the final moments of a dying person. They are completely incapacitated by fear, a perfect picture of physical and moral collapse. However, once the danger passes, their nature instantly shifts, and when the fear is gone, they sting you with sharp tongues, coveting wealth salbukam, biosanatin, idatin, alba alkar. After the siege breaks and danger recedes, they suddenly regain their energy, using their sharp tongues alsanat and idian, to criticize, backbite, and claim the greatest possible share of the spoils and wealth alkar, referring here to the bounty of the war. Their cowardice and danger transforms into venomous greed and belligerence and security. The spiritual verdict is then delivered with finality. These have not believed. So Allah has made their deeds fruitless. Their entire life is exposed as a contradiction. Their external declarations of faith are negated by their internal greed and cowardice. Therefore, all their deeds, whatever good they may have done, or their minimal participation, are declared fruitless caveat, devoid of any eternal reward. This is because all deeds must be rooted in sincere belief. The verse closes by emphasizing the ease of this judgment for the Creator, and that is easy for Allah. Wa kana dan lika, alb ohi yaskaban. The destruction of a hypocrite's life work is a matter of simple, effortless divine decree. The ultimate fear and moral collapse, Kanzalaman, Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, the Confederates. Chapter 33, verse 20. They think that the Confederates have not gone. And if the Confederates come back, they would wish that they were in the desert with the nomads, asking about your news. And if they were amongst you, they would not fight except a little. This verse provides the final, damning portrait of the hypocrites' profound and incorrigible cowardice and the utter moral collapse of their will, even after the initial threat has subsided. First, it reveals their state of chronic, lingering anxiety. They think that the Confederates have not gone. Ya Sabina al-Azibe lam yadhab. Despite the miraculous dispersal of the Confederate armies by Allah's wind and unseen forces, the hypocrites are still paralyzed by fear. Their inner doubt and lack of reliance on Allah prevent them from accepting the reality of the divine victory. Their state is one of perpetual neurotic fear, unable to find peace even in safety. The verse then posits a second hypothetical fear-driven action, and if the Confederates come back, they would wish that they were in the desert with the nomads, asking about your news, if the enemy were to return. The highest aspiration of the hypocrite would not be to defend the city, but to be as far away as possible in the desert with the nomads, observing the situation from a safe distance, merely asking about your news. Yasalina and APD Breakum. Their deepest wish is complete physical detachment from the danger, prioritizing their own security over all bonds of religion, kinship, and community. The verse concludes by reiterating the absolute shallowness of their commitment. And if they were amongst you, they would not fight except a little, even if they were compelled to remain in Medina when the enemy returned. Their participation would be negligible, reluctant, and symbolic, devoid of any true courage or sacrifice. This closing statement summarizes the entire nature of the hypocrite. Their fear is paralyzing, their desire is escape, and their commitment is utterly minimal. This portrait serves as an eternal measure of the difference between true faith, which faces death with courage for an eternal reward, and hypocrisy, which flees life's necessary trials for a temporary and insignificant gain. The hadith on the fruitlessness of deeds, the judgment in verse 19, where Allah declares that He has made the hypocrites' deeds fruitless, kabigat a magluhum, due to their lack of genuine belief, directly correlates with the Prophet Muhammad's peace be upon him teachings on the essential requirement of sincerity and sound intention. Nija, for the acceptance of any act. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught, deeds are judged only by intentions, and every person will get only what he intended. So, whoever emigrated for the sake of Allah and His Messenger, his emigration will be for Allah and His Messenger. And whoever emigrated for worldly gain, or for a woman to marry, his emigration will be for what he emigrated for. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 1. This foundational hadith, often cited as the principle governing all Islamic jurisprudence, confirms the Quranic verdict on the hypocrites. The hypocrites' meager participation in the Battle of the Trench, they're reluctant. Minimal engagement was clearly not motivated by sincere belief in Allah and His Messenger, peace be upon him, but by fear of exposure and desire for earthly gain, the spoils or alkir. Their intention was corrupt. The hadith teaches that an act is only accepted and rewarded in the measure of Allah if the intention is purely for Allah's sake. Since the hypocrites' intent was self-preservation and coveting wealth, their deeds were rendered fruitless and devoid of any eternal merit, just as the verse declared. This principle elevates the inner state, the purity of the heart, to the highest station of judgment. Let us now supplicate, drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. O Allah, Aya Rahman and Aya Rahim, grant us true courage that overcomes the fear of death. For we know that flight cannot alter your decreed destiny, and save us from the shame of being granted comfort only for a little while. Purify our hearts from the disease of holding others back and the spiritual covetousness that prioritizes wealth over sacrifice. Guard us from the hypocrisy that makes our eyes roll in fear and our tongues sharp in greed. And ensure that all our deeds are rooted in the purest intention, lest they be rendered fruitless. Grant us the unwavering certainty of your guardianship and help, making us reliant solely upon you in all matters of good and apparent harm. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ill. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth. And may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar Rahman and Ar Rahim. Amin.